in these moments that you wish could stretch out longer and actually something that you could rest in. There's just they're too far, too few between. I have taken some time, pretty much the whole week, to unplug and think and try to figure out more of a direction to head in. I've been doing that a lot in the past year, once I began to understand just how fatigued and tired I was, and how many years I've been fighting and trying to push forward when I didn't even know what I was aiming for, let alone where I was going. Everyone should have goals and dreams and all of that to head towards. But when you don't have them, things change, and you find yourself at crossroads. If you're in my shoes, then yes, you'll be struggling with that. So, mainly I am recording this for a couple of reasons. And yes, that's the name of the topic, in these moments. I watched something that I want to talk about, and basically a general update and some stuff like that. The video itself is a reflection of our life entirely, and I'll link it down below, about our struggle and the fact that we want to be remembered. We don't simply want to be forgotten about. To quote someone else from one of my favorite series, to be forgotten is a very lonely thing. And no one wants to be forgotten. I think for those who do not leave a legacy behind, they tend to leave family behind. People who can relate, who can understand, people who value what you value and try to uphold what you've left behind. So, when I ask myself that, and I look back at the gaping hole that I want to be filled that may never be filled, which is a very serious issue. I mean, it's not as serious as other issues and problems, sure, but wanting a family that will never happen, may never happen. I shouldn't say will, but may. That leaves me in very few other directions other than simply work and hobbies. Now, pursuing health, like going to the gym, that is something that I'm currently doing, and getting back into some healthy habits is very much needed. And I won't lie, it's actually surprised me in some very helpful ways. It's been redirecting and channeling energy into much needed areas so that I can not worry so much about my health, because that's something that I would be actively working on anyway. I've been doing that for about 2 months now, I think. Actually, it's just under 2 months. So, I'm more confident in that area, more confident in myself. I'm definitely feeling stronger, even though I am focusing on my health. My strength has definitely been showing, which I appreciate. I was never a weak person, but when you step outside of work where there's physical activities, and when you lose confidence in yourself, there's a number of reasons where your strength will not be showing, and it's not really for any one reason. It's for quite a few. Just simply losing confidence in yourself is one of the bigger ones out there. I never really lost confidence in myself because it was never really there to begin with. Now I had to build up on it because I began to understand and realize just how valuable it was and how little it was ever talked about. This is something that can be applied to each and every one of your lives. Anyway, I'm drifting away from the video that I watched because this is, even though this is on Cyberpunk 2077, the words correlate with a lot of people. And there's like a comment with like over 6,000 likes, I think. It's got several thousand likes at the very least, about how the end of it gets people every time. And if you're not familiar, Keanu Reeves plays as Johnny Silverhand in the game, and at the very end of it, he says to you, the main player, "I got you." So, yeah. It's hard for a lot of people to hear that just because no one was really ever there for us. Either because they had passed away or moved on. I think well, there's a lot of things that I think, but as far as the people who are willing to reach out, I think we're all hurt in some way so that we instinctively do not reach out to others, even though we know others are in our shoes, have been in our shoes, and will be in our shoes. The older you get, the more jaded you become, and the more burdens and baggage and damage you occur, or rather acquire. Sometimes you're able to find ways to let it go, and the damage will be very brief and little, or not visible, not so much as visible as others. Some people just work through this stuff a lot faster and easier than others anyway. Some people just don't confront this stuff, and they just let it pile up and just sit there, and in many cases, many people just end up staying at that particular wall or challenge for the rest of their life, never able to overcoming or bypassing it. And you can kind of see it. Well, that and the choices that they end up settling with. It's kind of painful because sometimes you just see people staying where they're at when they could be doing so much more and actually living lives that are free and enjoying who they are and what they have, and to be able to enjoy the little things. When you're pursuing all of this stuff, or when you are drowning in your loss and despair, it's hard to enjoy the little things. It really is. It's also hard to enjoy these moments that are here. It's been quite a journey. Now, I really hope you take some time to check the video out because it does kind of hit hard. And I want to say there are some things that will never be easy to face, but sometimes you're in a better position to face them. Not necessarily when you're more prepared, but when your mind is in the right place. Preparation and having your head in the right place sometimes are two entirely different things. The right headspace really makes a difference. I really should do a video on headspace and all of that because that's very unique. People have different headspace, and it's amazing just how much there is. People who this is a little side topic, I'll just go down briefly because it's of interest. People who, the furries and all that you've probably heard about in the news, littles and the littles and the daddies and the whole BDSM thing. They have a different mental headspace where they retreat to mentally, and it's like they regret, even age regression. Yeah, they regress. They go back to a place or to a time when things were simple, when they were someone else, and they still have these memories. It's almost like a safe place in your mind. And I want to say, according to what they've said, it is, and it's one of those warm, safe places that you just don't really want to leave because the moment is there, and I don't think I can describe it, but not now. I just want to point it out here because it's a very interesting topic that I do want to talk about some point in time. And when it comes down to like Christians and people who are religious, people who have beliefs and values, the easiest way to translate that into is fervor, a religious feeling, and something that you would attribute to what you know and what you understand, what you believe. And in some cases, you do feel something. You feel something there around you, sometimes in you. It's unexplainable. I mean, that's the easiest way to put it. But yeah, the video itself was just amazing and very thought-provoking. Now, in my own struggles here, since I'm 36 and trying to figure out where to go and all that, what to do and all of that, since a family is not looking like it's going to be a part of my future, this is one of those challenges that I'll be thinking about time and time again, because here's the thing, even if somebody does pop up, what makes me think that they would even be the right person anyway? There's been quite a few people that have popped up, and honestly, only one or two have ever stuck around for any lengths of time, while the rest is simply left after they got what they wanted. Being used and being useful are two different things. And I think, or rather I know, that it is better to have some experience than going into things blind. But that doesn't mean that you should be used wherever you go and whoever is in your life. I want to say by whoever's in your life, but that's not entirely true. Some people are not that self-centered. They're not that focused on themselves and all of that. I think the healthier individuals are the ones who realize more or less their place in the world and those around them, and they see they have to live in a place where there are others, and to actually be a decent being, human being, excuse me. Some people I've run into, they're just monsters. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other words that fit there, but monsters will work. The thing is, decent people are few and far between these days, and many are just too focused on themselves, and they will step on and use whoever they can to get these goals and all that, and it leaves everyone else jaded and broken. Anyway, gonna try to redirect this back to one of the things that I wanted to talk about, which was direction in life, passion, hobbies, and finding something else when your previous goal has been met or is looking to be unobtainable. There is joy in life, but finding it is really a pain at times, just because You have to switch gears up. You have to change, you have to move, you have to get out of your comfort zone, you have to do so much. And sometimes for an extended period of time to make you question yourself and your sanity. It's kind of like when, your boss asks you to work longer for X amount of days, X amount of time. I mean, there have been a couple jobs where you've had to work like almost 2 weeks of just hard work. It's kind of like that in that sense, because life is, longer than obviously work will ever be. But the switching up and the staying on the grind really is hard. I think for those who need more structure in their life, it's going to be even harder, just because the older you get, the less structure is actually there, unless you brought it with you and built it into your life somehow. Having friends and family to help out is really a plus, and those are becoming fewer the older you get as well. I think, for the most part, a lot of the stuff is taken step by step. And yeah, there's going to be process for literally everything in life, from grieving to anger to, back to the beginning of the movie, these moments that we have. You can't exactly have a fulfilling life if you're just skipping chunks of it at a time. That includes the pain. And yes, as much as it sucks, it's a part of it too. As I tell others, I tell myself too, you gotta take the good with the bad. You can't just simply have one without the other. You can try, and in some cases that is probably the best thing to do, is to try and skip some of what's there, just because, not because it's not worth it, but because you can afford to skip it. You can afford to deal with it later. Those moments aren't precious. Could be a marriage that you're attending, a good friend of yours, a family member. It could be birth of a child or something else. It could be the last moments left with a friend or a loved one. But recognizing that they're there and enjoying them is just difficult to do. Anyway, I'm not trying to get too personal or anything, but I did want to touch upon some of this stuff because this video hits really hard, and I just needed to talk about some of this stuff. I'll get back to my regular routine shortly. I just needed some time to get away from everything, to unplug. After all, I'm only human.